So I just got gas, and this past few days I've just been thinking about you know growing up. If I liked a girl and stuff, how I'd be afraid to like talk to her, and not having that confidence because growing up, hearing from family members about how big I was and stuff like that, it really knocks your confidence because then you think that you're not worth you know love because of it. And I that's of course past issues, and of course in some ways I still work through that. I think for me, if there was a girl I was attracted to, I have problems talking with her, and then I look at myself and everything that I have been through in my life, what was said to me, and then you know how just where I'm walking in a spiritual way, how I'm walking with God and what God has called me to, and the way this world functions, and what girls look for in guys according to the world. Even if they're Christians, they're going to judge a guy by what he has and the standards that he's walking in regarding being successful and being wealthy and stuff like that. So then again, I look at myself once again and I discount myself, saying I'm not worthy of love because according to this world, I don't have what this world says I have to have in place. And then I also look at myself and what I grew up with, what was said to me, and that also further knocks the confidence out to where I don't bother whatsoever having the confidence of talking with any girl. And so this is what I'm dealing with, you know, and how much of it is the flesh? How much of it is me working out of my hurts? And how much of it is me not knowing what price I am in God's eyes? That in itself, you know, should tell me that not to think in those ways, not to walk in those lines of thinking. It's moving into that place to where I'm not thinking that anymore. That I am worth so much in the eyes of God. That God has called me to trusting Him. You know, today he was giving me words about my wife, and just who she is, and um, just what He's going to do in our relationship. And with me, when I hear God, it seems like it's very detailed, and so I await patiently what God has promised me. And I'm still dealing with past issues of hurt, stuff that's recent, stuff that was in the past, and just learning to walk in a new way of thinking, and not what people have said to me in the past, which is the hardest thing. It's hard getting out of that thinking, you know, and I don't want to walk in that thinking anymore. I want to walk in a way that's healing, not remembering what was said to me growing up, but just walking in that place of healing and who I am in God. I think the hardest thing though is having that confidence. I mean, how can you get to that place to where you know, that it's okay to, talk with women. It doesn't have to necessarily be for the 1 second. Sorry, I had to get oil, and I parked into a parking space, and I really don't like talking around people about certain subjects, strangers and whatever. This is more of a personal kind of thing, so I feel like there's some things I just can't say around people. But it's walking in that confidence, knowing who God is in my life and what He's done, and that's how I want to live. I want to have confidence. And something my friend said to me, he said, just talk with any girl, and get used to doing it. I'm coming to get you. And that's something I was never told, something I never did. And so that really stuck out with me. So, regardless of how awkward it may be, it's something I really need to get used to. Because whenever I would get around any kind of girl, I would just, not feel like I could say anything. So it's getting out of that. But I think really what is foremost in my mind is, I guess it would be self-worth. That I look at myself according to the standards of this world, rather than looking at myself from God's viewpoint. Because I am not what this world says I am. I am not worthless. I am not lazy. I am not this. I am not that. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to have someone. And regardless of what was said and done to me, that should never change. But to make this relevant is that we all are worth something. You're worth something to God, no matter what this world says to you. People have spoken negatively about you in the past. People have hurt you with their tongue, but none of those words that they spoke is true. You're priceless. To God, you're worth so much. So it's not what anybody has said. It's about what God says about you. It's what God says about me. So if there's any kind of patterns that you're walking in from the past in which people have hurt you, go to God, forgive, allow Him to bring healing, and start walking in a new way of thinking. It says in, I think, Romans 12:2, do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. We have to renew our mind from what we learned in this world. And it's not only regarding, finances or God's provision, but it's also in who He says that we are. Not what our families have said about us or have done to us. It's transforming our mind. It's renewing it to what God says about us, walking in God's way and doing what God wants us to do. And I got to put the windows up because it's really hot out. It's like 87 degrees. And I should be used to it because I'm usually out for like 8 hours a day in my car. And sometimes the air don't work. So, I'm driving with the windows down, trying to keep cool. So that's where I'm at now. I am trying to walk in a new way of thinking and just doing what God wants me to do and walking in faith for what He has promised me, but more so walking in faith for the wife that He has promised me. I know what He has said about her, so, I walk in faith for that. Meanwhile, getting rid of any kind of pain and hurt from my past, so I'm not carrying it along with me. So I just wanted to share that with you. I pray that it has blessed you, and like I had said in many other videos, we're in this together. God's going to get us through what we need to get through. So, thanks for watching.